All right. So, yes, so I will be covering how we send the mail requests to the Novas, and then also how I use the current file. So, the sending things to the Novas and that process is a process, and it should be the same for everyone. So that will be one thing. But the current file is more of a management tool, and so managers do use this differently. I'll go over
Mm.
how I use it. But it is one of those things you can modify for what works for you. And feel free to stop and ask questions at any time during the call. So let's talk about the easy thing first. And this is how we send mail requests to the Novas. I started out here as a Nova, and I'm so glad because it really gave me such a good basis of understanding of how things work here, which is invaluable. I always encourage Paul to have everyone start there because it's such a good foundation for the work you do as a manager, how things work, right? And so when I was a Nova, I created two forms because the ones they were using previously didn't make so much sense. And so there are two separate forms. If you have any boards that have their packets mailed to them, there is a board packet mailing form, and then everything else is just your mail email request. So I am going to pull up those forms and I'm going to share my screen so you can see like where I go and all that good stuff. I think if I share my entire screen, it will do like the windows as I change. So tell me if that does not happen.
Okay.
Okay. So right now you should be looking at yourselves. Let's see. Oh, here we go. All right. Um, can you see me pulling up the drive?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So you go to the Y drive for these forms under the All folder, and then Company Forms and Templates. Okay. So I sort by type because you generally want to use the PDF and it's just easier. They're all duplicated here. So right up top is the first one. It's the All Board Packet Cover Sheet. Fillable, use this one. Exclamation point, exclamation point. Okay, can you see the form now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right, so it's very straightforward. You just fill in your name and the association for billing, the date. These are all very self-explanable. Explainable. Now, the one thing is if you have packets that have to go out right away, like for example, I have some Novato properties and things get mailed from Hercules, so I really try to get them to them as early as possible. If there's a tight deadline, keep that in mind. Sometimes you want to follow up with a email or message to a Nova to make sure it can go out same day if that's what you need. So I usually put today if possible. If not, let me know because maybe I can do it myself or have somebody, my assistant help or whatever the case may be. But they're usually really good about getting them out. So number of copies, like most of my boards, receive them electronically and only one or two people want copies. So you would put two, like if you just had two. And then these are the things they'll need to know. Double-sided, black and white, 3-hole copies. I found that most boards don't need them 3-hole punched. There's just one particular board member that I've ever known that wants that. So that's almost redundant. And so usually they're double-sided black and white. And then exclude from mailing, you would put in there the board members who do not receive mailed copies. The Novus will also email blast the agenda. That used to be more important. I usually do it myself to make sure it goes out. It's really easy on the web portal. But if you want the Novus to do it, you can do that here. Just make sure that you have the agenda saved and it says posting agenda or something like that in your Z drive so they know what to attach. And then if there are any special instructions, you put them here. So when I email a board packet, I'm just going to pull that up real quick so you can see. Oh God, I hate the last Windows update. It has made it much more difficult to get to my things. So board packets. I'm going to pull up one that I just sent. Let's do Carriage Hills 2023. Okay. So this is my board packet. One thing that I always put on my mail sheet is make sure to, when you print them, fit to paper. I'll just put that in my instructions to make sure that the page numbers don't get cut off on the bottom. That's something that can occur sometimes. So those are the types of things that you can put in the special instructions, or, send if you want it sent priority mail or anything like that. Just put them in the instructions there. It's pretty straightforward.
Mhm.
So that's it. You don't have to do anything down here. They do that for billing. When you're a NOVA, what you do is you save these sheets or print them out, and then they have to do their invoice billing at the end of the month, and they use that as a guide. Okay. Oops. Is that Christine? I can hear her.
So we laughed or whatever, and he said, "Yeah, I had a
Okay. All right. And then Christine's being loud. Charlotte, could you go ahead and mute yourself for a second?
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll yell at Christine later. All right. So the other copy mail sheet is, let's go back to the all folder. The other one that you'll use is this one, the all copy and mail cover sheet. Philip will use this one. So again, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's supposed to be very straightforward and easy. This is just you giving the directions to the NOVAs on when it needs to go out. The job name description is important because that's what's going to appear on your association's invoice. Okay, so when the billing goes in, you want it makes it easier as a manager for the charges. If you have one of those treasurers or board members that questions everything on their invoices, then it'll be specific, like this was your introduction newsletter that was mailed. That's what will be reflected on the invoice. They just cut and paste from that job name description. Mail to owners. Sometimes associations will have you mail to tenants, renters. So if so, that's where you would indicate it. Include mail to owners that opted for electronic communication. So usually that's always a no. The certain times where that would be a yes would be things like ballots or those types of mailings. But generally that's a no. But you can define that. Special instructions if there are any, and then email as well. If you want the NOVAs to email it. Again, I usually do that myself, but that's up to you as a manager. And then email only to owners that specified electronic communication. That used to come up more. I usually email blast everyone and then just mail to the owners that have requested mail. But inevitably, when I do that, I always get at least 4 or 5 emails back like, oh, please mail me a copy too. So it's up to you. Here you list the documents separately that you want to mail. Sometimes there are multiple, sometimes there's only one. You put here the number of pages. The number of pages is important because it will define for the NOVAs if it can go out in a regular sized envelope or if it has to go out in the bigger size envelope, which is a upcharge. There's more cost for that, and in both the materials and in postage. So just to be aware of that. And they have actually said here for more than 5 pages, it has to go in the big full size envelopes. Again, whether it's single-sided or double-sided, black and white or color. The color
Hey,
paper.
Sarah, I hate to interrupt, but I
No.
think Charlotte just dropped off.
Oh no, did I lose her? Sorry, I'm looking at my other screen. She did, but she can rejoin. Let's see, hold on real quick. No, I don't know. Wait. Let me just see. Oops, we lost you. Hopefully she's rejoining. Well, I'm still recording, so I'm going to keep going. Hopefully she'll rejoin. I can cover anything I need to with her as well. All right, so where was I? As on that form. So you've seen these because you've received them as a NOVA,
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, oops, there you go. Hi, Christine.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. We just lost her. Very good. All right, I'm going to keep going and she can join. Thankfully, this sheet is fairly self-explanatory, and then ballots are their own thing, and we're maybe in
No,
the
I'm here
process
now.
of
We got
that
back on.
anyway. Okay, good. Sorry. You didn't miss much. We realized you were gone and
Okay.
I kind of said, oh, where's Charlotte?
Sorry. Happens
That's
like
okay.
once a day.
Not a problem. Okay, so this form is fairly self-explanatory. If you do have any questions filling it out, you can ask Inova, you can ask me, ask another manager. But when you're done filling this out or the other form, it's very straightforward. You just email that to the Novas. So for example, I just sent one out myself. Can you see my email now?
Mhm.
Okay, good. So I'm going to Novas. Let's see, intro newsletter, the Strand mailing. This is a good one to show you. All right. So when I'm done, I have this and I email it to the Novas. This is an example of one that has been completely filled out. It was the call for candidates. So that's what's going to be on their invoice. It just goes to the owners, not to the email communication owners. No email is needed because I sent that out. And then I detail here the documents that are attached. This is going to be a full-size envelope, obviously, because it's a bigger mailing. And then when I'm done filling that out, I email it to the Novas at collinsmanagement.com. And it has the cover sheet there. I include that. And then I also attach PDFs of all the documents that I want included in the mailing so that they will have those. And then they do the rest. Are there any questions on that process?
Nope.
All right. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the current folder. So when I have an association, I do set up my folders all the same way for my associations. There might be one off here and there, you know, an extra folder that one association has and another doesn't. I pin all my associations here on my Explorer so I can easily access them. And I will use, which one will I use? Let's use Madeira Marin. That's a good one. All right. So I have a current folder for all of my associations. I put the hashtag in front, so it's always up there at the top. And I also recommend always putting the name or, you know, just Madeira, whatever you want, after that current, because when you are accessing a lot of different associations, what will happen over here on this side is the folders that you're accessing the most will be down here. And if you have 4 that say current, you won't know which one's which. So this way, because I've put the EK there or the Madeira Marin up here, I know which current folder it is and I can access them quickly like that. Okay. Throughout the month or quarter or every 2 months, when I get emails or proposals or anything at all that is going to be discussed or on the agenda for the next meeting, I drop it in the current folder. So, and a lot of times too, I'll just put PDFs of emails in there, not necessarily because it's going to go in the packet, but just to remind myself that it needs to be on the agenda when that is taking place. So that's basically it. Now, I've seen this done a few different ways. I personally like to dump everything just into the current folder right here. So I have all the documents there and I know what needs to be included. And then when I do my agenda, I go through and I number the documents according to the agenda in order so that then I just create my board packet by highlighting them all and then combining the files as a PDF. And then that way, it will do them in order, all of my documents. I get my board packet PDF, I add the numbers, I put the page numbers on the agenda, and I'm good to go. When I am done, what I would do, so these are my May meeting. This is a packet I just created. These are my May meeting items. So when I'm done, I just move it into the May meeting folder. And these that I've put the X on, those were for me. I didn't want them on this month's agenda, but I want them to be in there for next month to see if it's something that I need to include next month. So I will leave those out. And then when it's time for my June board packet, I'll take a look at them and see if they need to be numbered and added to the June board packet. And then it's really easy to reference because if I need to remember something that I provided in May, or when I am sending the proposals or minutes for approval, I can just go to that file and the documents are all right there to attach into the DocuSign. And you can always rename them and remove the numbers if you care to. That's not a problem at all. So it just keeps me nice and organized. And then I keep like the couple months here. But when I'm done with them, I just move them into the completed. So like April is something I'd probably move into there now.
And that
I
was your April board packet?
Yeah, that was my April board packet. I just put in completed. So if you look here in completed, I have all of my board packets. You know, at some
Love
point
it.
I might go in and delete them because I don't need them. And technically they're all saved in those complete board packets in the board packet folder. You know, it's just kind of like a backup to that. And so every once in a while I'll go through and clean it up and that kind of thing. But you know, if I do need to check, well, wait, we discussed that a year ago in April, I can look in here and I can see everything we discussed there and what was in the packet.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just easier to find. So I do leave it there for a while. So that is how I use the current folder. So it's just like in the olden days when we had a big stack of paper for everything in the upcoming meeting. It's just now here in online, and it's easy to access. And it's just kind of my document dump. It's a good way to get your emails out of your inbox. You know, you just save them in here, and when you don't want to forget things. And especially when you're working with an assistant and an account, so they too can just put things in there. And that way I know if a proposal's come in or something, if I missed that CC or whatever, I don't always have to follow up and say, oh, did you get that proposal, this proposal, and that? And I didn't see it in the current file. You know, it's here. And if you haven't already done it, just a tip, I recommend setting up this viewing window right here. It makes it a lot easier and saves some time so you know what's in there without having to open the documents. A little shortcut for you if you did not already know it. So, pretty short and sweet. It's pretty straightforward process. You know, I think it works really well. And are there any questions about that?
Not that I could think of. I'm going to definitely utilize that. So thank you for the information.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so that you know, I did start as a Nova and then an assistant and now I'm managing. So most of the things that I do are pretty efficient. I look for a lot of time savers and organizational things. So if you ever have any questions whatsoever, you are always welcome to just send me a chat or give me a call and I'm happy to help.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Happy journeys.
Thank you. We'll talk soon.
Bye. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.